Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be on newborn must-haves and baby bye regrets. So my son is no longer a newborn, he's now 5 months old. They stopped being a newborn around 3 months, I believe. And so I thought I'd create this video just to share some of the items and products that really helped me during this newborn stage. I know how hard it is being a first-time mom, being pregnant and wondering what you need for your newborn. You walk into any baby store and it is just full of baby products. You don't know where to start. It's so overwhelming. So I thought I'd share some of my tips and things to look out for when you're choosing products for your baby. So the first baby item that you will need for a newborn will be a car seat, because that's the first thing that the sort of first big thing that you need to take your baby home from the hospital. So with the car seat, there's really two options when it comes to a newborn. You have your convertible car seat and you have your baby capsule or infant car seat. There's pros and cons with both of these seat options. So we actually went with both. We had both a convertible car seat that went from 0 to 4 years, and if you do get a convertible car seat, you want to make sure that it is for a newborn as well as for the older baby. And then we also had a baby capsule. So with the capsule, we didn't actually purchase it, it was given to us by family. After using it though, I do think that if I had the option, I wouldn't have purchased it. I personally don't think it was worth the money, and I'm going to explain why. So with the convertible car seat, the age range is usually between 0 and 4 years. So it does last quite a while. It is worth the money. It doesn't really matter what brand you get. They're all safe. They all have to meet safety standards as a car seat for a baby. So you can trust that it is going to be safe, it's going to keep your baby alive as long as you've installed it correctly. The price difference is really more for comfort, I suppose, so it just depends if you get a cheaper one compared to the more expensive ones. The more expensive ones are generally going to just be a bit softer, but with car seats you don't really have any fancy features. So I think it's okay if you want to buy a mid-range one or even a cheaper option. You don't really need the most expensive car seat. So they're great just because that they last so long, and you can definitely go straight to just purchasing one of them. You don't need an infant car seat. But then there's the infant car seat, and there's definitely a lot of pros and cons when it comes to using one of those. So an infant car seat or a baby capsule basically is a little seat with a handle, and it clicks into a base that is installed in your car. So you leave the base in your car at all times, and the capsule comes with you. So you can bring it into your house, and then you can take your baby out of it when you want and then put them back in. So I'll show you the one that we have. We had a Steelcraft capsule. So that's the size of it. And your baby sits in here. Now, a con with this was that our baby didn't last very long in it. Most capsules are from 0 to 6 months, but our baby only lasted about 3 months in it. He is a very tall boy, so he outgrew it very quickly. We had to change to a convertible car seat very quickly with him. Maybe if you had a smaller baby, it could have been a better option, but I personally don't think it was worth the money because we only got to use it for 3 months. We also didn't do a lot of trips with it, so it might be more worth it to you if maybe you have other children and maybe you're doing like a school run every day. That could be worth it, but for us as first-time parents, it was good. Like, I did enjoy using it, and it did make my life a little bit easier, but I don't think it is worth the money. They are pretty expensive depending on the brand that you buy, and they just don't last very long. So since we're still on the topic of travel, another really great item for when you're out and about is a baby carrier or a baby wrap. So we actually had both. We had the Ergo baby carrier and we had the Connie baby wrap. So there's pros and cons with both of these items, and I think it's really great to definitely have at least the carrier, and the wrap is sort of optional. I say that because the wrap doesn't last that long. You sort of really only need it for that newborn stage, and then once they're a bit bigger, you can still have them in the wrap, but it is a lot nicer on your back and your posture to have them in a baby carrier with all the straps and a bit of back support rather than just a soft wrap. So I'll show you the ones that we had. So we had the Connie baby carrier. So I chose this one because I was very overwhelmed thinking about having to wrap my baby in one of those ones that you have to do like the self-wrapping. I watched lots of videos on how to do it, and I was considering purchasing one, but I was really afraid that I wasn't going to do it right. I was going to end up dropping my baby, and it was just going to be, you know, that one extra step that I had to do when I was out and about with my baby. So I chose to purchase an all-in-one. Now this, I think it was $50 or $60, and it was definitely worth the purchase. I think it goes up to 2 years old, this wrap, although now I do wear him more in the carrier if we're out and about rather than this wrap, just because it has better back support, but I still can wear him in this if I want to. So basically you throw this on like a t-shirt, and then you just pop your baby in, and then it comes with this other little wrap that you sort of tie around just to brace them a bit more, and it has like a little pocket on it. So it's really easy. There's not a lot of steps involved and not a lot of wrapping. As long as you follow the instructions, you can't really drop your baby in this thing. So I did like this one just because it's a nice, soft, comfortable wrap. He did enjoy being in it. And yeah, close to me, you can do skin to skin, which is really nice. And when you have a newborn, everybody wants to touch the baby. It's just a thing that all humans have. We all love babies, so we just want to touch their faces. So when you have them in something like this, it is less likely that someone is going to come up and touch your baby if you're actually wearing them. So I did like that about this wrap. Now the other thing was, a lot of people say, oh, you know, my baby doesn't like being worn in a baby wrap or baby carrier. And I think that, yeah, babies don't like being put into one. They definitely get really fussy when you're first putting them into it and they're getting used to it, because they don't really like being jostled around. But then once they get used to it and they're skin to skin, and you know, you have them all in there all secure and tight, they do really love it. So it took Nate definitely a couple of goes, and me a couple of goes, to get used to it. It was definitely really intimidating at the start, but once we got into it, he really loved it. So if you are using a carrier or a wrap and you're finding your baby doesn't like it initially, try it a few more times, make sure that they're fed and they're not too fussy, and see how they go with that. It was also a really great way to get your baby to sleep. So anytime we were out and about and I didn't want to put him in the pram, or he was being a bit too fussy to fall asleep in the pram, I would chuck him in the carrier, and then I would pop him in it, and he would fall asleep within about 5 or 10 minutes just from me walking around and him being so close to me on my chest. So babies do really love that closeness. It's a quick, easy way to get them to sleep. He would sleep for maybe 30 or 40 minutes in it, and then he'd wake up. So that was really great. Now the other one we had was the Ergo Baby. So this one is also the mesh Ergo Baby. So because we live in Australia and it gets quite hot, we chose the mesh one, which is really great because when you're wearing a baby, even if it's winter, it does get very hot. You get very sweaty very quickly. So I do love this one just because it has that back support. It's a bit nicer on the shoulders and everything rather than just a soft wrap. It just gives you a bit more support for your posture. Nate didn't really enjoy being in this in the start when he was really little. I think it just wasn't as comfortable for him, whereas the soft wrap was probably a bit nicer on his skin and everything. But my husband especially really liked wearing this one. He couldn't wear my baby wrap because it's an all-in-one. It's like a one size. So I think that one was a small, and he probably would have had to wear like a large. I would have had to purchase him a whole separate one. So that's a con if you do want your husband wearing the wrap by choosing an all-in-one. So if you want your husband to also wear it and you're obviously 2 different sizes, then maybe having one that you actually wrap yourself would be more worth it for you, unless you want to go out and buy 2 separate wraps. But yeah, mainly at the start he did wear this one. And the good thing about this is you can just change the sizing and change the strap, so we could both share it. We also decided to purchase these teething, little teething pad things that go over the shoulder straps, just because he was biting the sides. He actually started teething at 3 months, very early. and they would get really gross and disgusting, and you know, you'd have to wash the entire thing. So instead of doing that, we would just use these, and he'd bite on them, and then we could just take these off. They just have little clips, and then you can just wash them. So that's something I wish I had purchased earlier. It's just an add-on, and it's the Ergo Baby brand as well. So the next thing you're going to want for your baby are swaddles. So newborns love being swaddled. They love being all tight because it makes them feel like they're in the womb still. So it does help them sleep a lot better when they're put in a swaddle, even just during the day to calm them down, because they do have that startle reflex. They sort of move their arms really quick, and it can startle them, especially if they're sleeping, and it can wake them up. So having a few of these like cotton blanket, like thin blanket swaddles are really great. You don't want them to overheat even in winter. And then like some muslin wrap swaddles as well, if just for during the day if they're a bit warmer, or if your baby's born in summer, the thinner swaddles are really good. So it's good having these sorts of swaddles, but also having those ones that are like built in for you, that you don't have to physically swaddle them, are really great. So we only swaddled Nate ourselves maybe the first couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, and then we actually went to the zipper swaddles. So I did try a few different ones, and I'll show you the ones that we had. So I tried this weird Velcro one. So that's the swaddle. So you put them in, and then there's a zip, and then there's this Velcro part. I couldn't really work it out. I still can't really work it out. And it sort of wraps around them, and then it Velcros in. I found he just got out of it a lot. I don't know if I wasn't doing it tight enough, but I didn't really like this one. The one that we loved, and we ended up using it every single night. We ended up buying a few more because we were using it every night, and sometimes he would vomit on them. Are these Love to Dream swaddles. So these are the swaddle ups. So you put them in there, and there's a zip. There's actually a double zip on this one, which is great for nappy changes. And their arms and hands go up. So instead of, most babies get swaddled with their arms down like this, but a lot actually prefer to have their arms up. And my son, he still, if I put him on his back to sleep, he still puts his arms up. I think he just prefers to sleep like that. And he would sleep so well in this. And it did help with the startle reflex as well. And I found it really easy because it's basically just a sleeping bag. You pop them in it, and you just put the zipper up. So that was our preference. Definitely try out a few. You can get some cheap swaddles if you prefer just do it yourself. You can just get some wraps, or you can try out the ones that sort of do it for you, I guess. Another thing you're going to want for your newborn are burp cloths. So newborns tend to vomit a lot. So Nate, I think he didn't vomit for the first couple of weeks, maybe when he was still trying to bring my milk in and he wasn't taking in a lot. And then once it really did come in, and he was cluster feeding a lot and just taking in a lot of milk, he started to vomit, and he started to vomit a lot. He was a very spewy baby actually. So we started using burp cloths a lot, and bibs, just to save his outfit, because it is a lot easier to wash just one single bib compared to a whole outfit, and that could be multiple times a day that he would be wrecking like a whole bib. So get yourself some newborn bibs. Especially those bibs. We had a lot of newborn bibs, but now like Nate doesn't wear them because he can't wear them anymore. They're way too small. But we do have some other bibs that have different sizing with like clips. And so he had it in the newborns clip size in the beginning, and now he's still wearing the same bibs, but he has it on the bigger clip size. So I do recommend getting something like that rather than buying like just newborn specific bibs, because then, you know, they'll grow out of them so fast. Within 3 months, you can no longer use that bib anymore. For burp cloths, we preferred just these nappy ones. So these are like the terry toweling cloths. So they're really great because they're so absorbent. We tried other burp cloths that were a bit thinner and a bit smoother, but they would wreck so easily, and sometimes the vomit would go through and onto your clothes. And I do find that this is a nice big size. It's quite large, and we'd often just fold it like this and pop it over our shoulder, and then Nate would sit here and we would then burp him, and he could vomit all over this if he liked, and it would, you know, protect your shirt. And then sometimes if I had him in front of me and I was afraid he was going to vomit on my front, I could just put the whole thing over me. So it is quite large. You want to get large burp cloths. I know you can get burp cloths that are a bit smaller. They sort of just go over your shoulder and they're just that little size. Yeah, they could be okay, but I feel like you want a big burp cloth. I feel like burp cloths can never, it's just like that item that can never be big enough. Okay, so now for all the other odd little bits and pieces that you might need for your newborn, and things that I found really essential and that I use all the time and still use. So here's one of them. This is the nose feeder. I think that's what the brand is called. Yeah. So it's the nose feeder. And so it's a nasal aspirator. I call it a nose sucker. So that's what it looks like. It comes in this long tube. And basically you put this end like just in front of your baby's nostril, and then you suck on this end. Now it does sound really gross and it sounds like you're probably going to get a mouthful of snot, but that is not the case. It does come with these little filters, and you can change them out. So they do send you, when you order it, they do send you a couple of new filters. I actually haven't had to change the filter. But I do take this end off a lot and just wash it, because you do get like snot and mucus in that end. But it's never gone through the filter, and it's never come up the tube. It's quite a long tube as well, so if it did somehow get through, I think you'd be pretty safe. So this is great. I use this all the time. I still use it. I use it almost every day. Nate's never had a cold, but I can imagine it would be really handy if he had a cold. But it's mainly just for clearing his nose. So babies, obviously they can't blow their nose, they can only really sneeze, and it is really hard to like get the snot out of there, especially if it's blocked, and they do tend to breathe through their nose most of the time, especially if they're feeding. They can't be breathing through their mouth if they're sucking milk at the same time. So usually you want their nose to be clear, because it can affect their sleep and their feeding. So having something like that is really good. We did use those little bulb aspirators, I think, and I just found it didn't really work very well. It wasn't as strong, and Nate didn't enjoy it, so he didn't hold still very much for that compared to the tube one. So I would recommend the tube one. Other things that you're going to need for your baby on the topic of noses. So this is the Fess Little Noses brand. So it's a saline nasal spray. I use this all the time. Still, it goes from 0 to 2 years, so you can use it straight away. Once again, Nate hasn't had a cold, but this would be really handy if they do have a cold. It really is just to help soften any like mucus snot in their nose. I often do use it before I use the nose sucker, and it does help to clear it out a bit better, but sometimes I just use this and that helps. It even can help him to sneeze it out. So that's really great. You're gonna want like a brush and comb. I bought a little kit, actually. It was just a Tommy Tippy sort of baby care kit, I think it was called, and it came with some combs and brushes, and it came with one of these, which is a nail clipper. Their nails actually grow really fast, so I use the nail clipper all the time. I know parents seem to be really afraid of using nail clippers on babies. I haven't really found an issue. I've always been able to get Nate to hold still, and I don't know, he sort of watches it and he seems pretty amazed by it, so he just holds still. I don't know. So I know there's different products out there for nail clipping, so if your baby doesn't hold still and they, you know, you don't want to use a nail clipper, then you can get different ones. I know you can get like motorized nail files and all sorts of different products for clipping their nails. So I just find that these standard classic nail clippers do the job. And then these are actually just called makeup remover pads, or cotton pads. So they're just a cotton pad, really. I've used this I actually use this a lot more when he was a newborn. They would just get like lots of like eye gunk and face gunk and stuff. I don't know why newborns get so much gunk. But I would just put a bit of coconut oil on the pad and then just wipe over his face in the morning, and sometimes after naps, or if we were going out, and it would just sort of clear it up a bit. so they were handy. And then of course you're going to want to get some nappy balm. So I bought the brand Zoe Organics, and I do find it really good to have a nice thick balm to put on their butt if it's starting to look a bit red. He's never actually had like a full-blown diaper rash, and that's because I do use good stuff on him. So this is an organic brand, and it just has all natural products in it. I do find it really good. And another thing that I usually use most of the time is just some coconut oil. So I've put some coconut oil in a little tub here. It's filled all the way up the top. I just filled it up, and I use this every day on him. After his bath, I just rub him down completely once he's dry with coconut oil. I put it all over his face and all over his body, and that just helps to moisturize him, and it's just coconut oil. So I did look into all those like baby moisturizers. There's so many products out there, but honestly, you know, your baby could be allergic to anything, and you just don't really know what's in things. I didn't want to go and buy something that had a million ingredients in it, so I thought I would just use plain old coconut oil. It does the same thing, and it's all natural, and if he gets it in his mouth as well, it's not a big deal, like if he accidentally ate a bit. Yeah, so I do use this a lot, not only for like moisturizer, but I also use it also I guess for like a nappy balm, and that helps, I guess, probably him for like to not get any sort of rashes or nappy rash or anything like that. So when you're out and about, you're going to want something to put all these items that I just spoke about in, because you're going to need nappies, you're going to need wipes when you're out and about with your baby, because a newborn, they constantly need nappy changes. So you're going to want to go out and get yourself a nice nappy bag. So this is one of my baby buy regrets. I actually ended up having to buy a second nappy bag because my first one did not work out. So I went out and bought this really nice nappy bag. It was like this black leather bag. It was actually quite big. It sort of looked like a duffel bag, like an overnight bag, I guess. And it had this big strap that you could put over your shoulder, or it had these little straps that you could hold. And I thought it looked really great. And then when we started using it, I realized it was just so big. And it just didn't seem like you could fit a lot of things in there, and it would be great for just like an overnight bag for Nate if we were going away for a couple of nights, but it didn't really make sense to have this massive bag that we'd cart around just for like going out for an hour or two, when, you know, maybe he'd had one nappy change. I was breastfeeding as well, so we didn't need it like to carry bottles. We just would put like, you know, maybe an outfit change in it and a burp cloth and some nappies, and that's it. So we had this massive bag for no reason really. So I didn't really, once I started using it, I realized it just wasn't really great just because of how big it was. And when you know, you have a baby, then you have a pram, and then you have this massive nappy bag, like you just feel so bulky. So that was one thing I really didn't like about my original nappy bag, but I thought I would just stick it through since I purchased it. I think it was like $80. It was, you know, more expensive than a normal one. But then the zipper broke, which is so strange because it was, you know, about $80. It was a more expensive one, and it just didn't last. So I don't know why the zipper broke so soon. We didn't really use it very much, and I think he was like 2 months old when it broke, and we didn't really go out a lot. So it was I was very upset that, yeah, I spent that money and it was just not a great bag. So I decided to go out and just get a backpack for his nappy bag, and it is a specific nappy bag, but it also doubles as a backpack. So I actually did watch a video similar to this, and the mum that was talking did recommend getting a backpack, and she found that really great, and she had a couple of kids as well, so she had tried different nappy bags. And I remember watching it and thinking, I don't want to use like a backpack. I just want like a nice cute little bag. But that just didn't work. And when that one broke, I thought to myself, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna get myself one of those backpack nappy bags because they seem fantastic. And oh my goodness, they are. I love the one that we got. So I found this one on Amazon. This is our bag. I just got a neutral color because that way if my husband wears it, it doesn't look super girly. That's another thing. If you go out and get like a really girly bag, just know that your husband might, you know, have your baby and have to wear that bag as well. So it has little handles on it, and it also has the straps that you can put on just like a backpack. It has lots of little compartments. So it's got the one at the front, it's got like a secret one at the back, and there's actually another one here. And then there's these little side pockets, And then when you go inside, there's also all sorts of different compartments. So that's what you want when you're looking for a nappy bag, is lots of different options, lots of different compartments. So that's how it opens up. We've got nappies on the side, we've got our wipes and nappy bags. And most nappy bags should come with a travel mat. So that's something to change your baby on when you're out and about, just so that they don't like pee all over, you know, wherever you're changing them, and so that they have somewhere like sort of comfy, I guess, to lay on. Especially if you're changing them in the back seat, you don't want to make a mess in your car. So I do really love this nappy bag specifically. I find it's nice and small compared to our massive one that we had before, and it is really handy if you have your baby in your arms and you can just put both straps on like a backpack and just wear it like that. It works really well. So that's pretty much it for all the newborn essentials and must-haves that I think that you would need. These, of course, are just my own personal opinion and items that I really love during the newborn stage. Of course, these might not particularly work for you or your family. Now, one subject I didn't touch was feeding, just because I probably will create a whole new video around products that you'll need for feeding. So I breastfed and I used a whole bunch of different products for that. I also did a little bit of bottle feeding with my pumped milk. So I will explain all that in another video, but it will probably take up a lot of time, so I thought I would separate that one to a whole new video. But of course, you're going to want some items for your baby to feed, especially if they're bottle feeding. You're going to want to go out and buy bottles, maybe formula or a pump or whatever you're going to be using. That, of course, is something to think about. But I hope you really liked this video. I hope it really helps you if you're pregnant and watching this, or maybe you have a newborn and you're not sure if you do have all the items that you might need. Yeah, I hope that this video can help you go out and get some of the things that maybe you haven't thought about, or maybe that it can help you to break down some of the pros and cons that you need to look at when purchasing some of those bigger, obvious items for your baby. Thanks for watching, guys.